Hey guys, I was talking before I even brought myself into the whole thing. So tonight, you guys know that we have Aaron Frederick coming on the show, and if you guys know anything, Aaron Frederick is my spirit animal. He's like, you ever heard the story when you go to the wild boar in Australia that rampaged into a campground and drank all kinds of beer, got drunk, trashed the campground. Well, that's basically Aaron. I mean, that's as close to a description you get of Aaron right there. Aiden, the arm is fine. So, guys, just so you know, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, this is a video podcast. We do it live on my YouTube channel, and I've already gotten some emails from the folks that listen to it and want to know, why am I beating on a cowbell? So if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, every time somebody drops a super chat, donates money to the channel, that's what you're hearing. So this is a live video podcast. There will be a link to the video down below. So let's go ahead and bring Aaron in, and let's just see what happens, because when you get me and Aaron together, well, stuff happens. So here comes Aaron.
Usually really stupid shit happens.
Stupid stuff happens. I told him the story about the first time we met in person at Vegas. I think it was the TKI, and my little buddy Nico was bringing you and I beverages of the adult sort.
They were free.
They were free, and they were coming quickly, and we never went dry. And your wife hadn't got to meet me yet, and she came back from going somewhere, and you and I were talking, and she walks up and she looked at me and she looked at you and she's like, God damn it, there's two of you.
Well, at first she goes, she actually asked the questions like, were you in the Navy? She asked the questions like, because no matter where he goes, they gravitate toward him. I was like, actually, honey, wherever any of us go,
yeah, I was going to say,
we gravitate toward each other. I said, you can go anywhere, and we gravitate toward each other because we're looking around going, fucking civilians everywhere.
And as a matter of fact, I think I've told you guys all this. Aaron and I actually did the same job at the same time for the same unit. Just he was on the East Coast as I was on the West Coast. When he was a GM1 and I was a GM1, we did the same goddamn job for the same unit at the same time, just in different places, just on opposite sides of the country.
Mm-hmm.
So
I just went to the dark side, and
he became an officer,
and you retired, so
I'm not because I wanted to.
Well,
I was told, like, hey, guess what? You can't jump out of helicopters anymore. We can't use you.
Well, you know what? That's how I ended my career too.
Right.
Hey, you can't do VBSS anymore.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, both my legs are gone. Both my knees are just shattered. So no, I probably can't. And that was the end of that.
So, as you can tell, Aaron was a Navy veteran. Is a Navy veteran, I should say. So
I've actually got. Let me pan up just a little bit. I've got shit like that hanging in my. That's Admiral Roughhead, ComNav Surflant. Right here. I've got some of them hanging up in the other part of it, but
I got all my stuff up here. I got my lithograph of my first ship. I have a helmet. I got an 8-point. I got my grandfather's bosun pipe and lanyard and all that stuff up there, and just all kinds of fun stuff. So
granddad's stuff's over there. He was they don't have the rate anymore, but he was actually a 3rd class petty officer. Now me and you would just call it a fireman, but he was actually a fireman, 3rd class.
Oh, D-Seaman. Before they were D-Seaman.
Before they were D-Seaman. He was actually a fireman back then, but he was a 3rd class. And made a Marine when they got to Okinawa. They didn't have enough Marines because I don't know if you want to talk about this shit on the podcast. But
I don't care. We'll get to I've got some questions, but
when Granddad got to Okinawa, they fought for a while. They had to pull out because there was a really bad storm, and when they had to pull back in, they had to leave all these Marines on the beach during this. It was a hurricane, and so when they got there, they said, we don't have enough Marines. So they mustered all the sailors of all the ships and basically went down the line and said, 1, 2, you're a Marine. 1, 2, you're a Marine. One. And Granddad said that all of a sudden I was going to the beach. He goes, I got in all the very back of this boat, and he goes, do I get a gun? They says, we don't have enough. Here's a bandolier of ammo. You'll pick one up.
You'll find one.
And I'm like, Granddad, that's like the most terrifying story I've ever heard since I've been in combat. I'm like,
I was saying you and I both
terrifying.
have, and I'm like, that sounds terrifying. Now, you don't get a gun, terrible. But I'm sure you'll find one.
And he said, they gave me a knife. He goes, and I literally spent the first like 8 hours on this, go to the beach, and I go up to the baseline area where they got it. Sounds like they dug in. He goes, I get there, and all I have is a knife for like 8 hours. I'm like, what'd you do? He goes, I sit there with my knife for 8 hours.
Hoping I didn't have to use the fucking thing.
I was like,
trying to
man, that's terrifying.
I'm trying to set this up. I have to ask you a question because you're the only person that I would ask this question to. Well, maybe Jim Skelton on the podcast. Have you ever gotten food poisoning at a strip bar lunchtime buffet?
No.
Okay. I guess that makes one of us.
Have I been to one? Maybe.
Yes.
But have I got food poisoning? No.
Like I said something one time. One of the guys was like, what do you do for lunch? And I was like, strip bar down the road has a lunchtime buffet. And they're like, what the fuck? I'm like, what? I'm sorry. I was unaware that you were a homosexual.
Have you never been to one?
You've never seen? I was like, it's cool. They got little boneless wings and like little burgers and shit. He goes, are you going to drink there? And I was like, well, why wouldn't I? I mean, that's the cheapest place to drink.
The bad thing that I found with strip clubs when I went officer, there'd be strip clubs around wherever, the finishing schools or whatever we went to. And then so here I am, and one of the oldest, I was a first class before I went officer. And then I go in there, and here's all these guys that just came out of school. And then, here's these young kids that are being officers, and half of them are like going to strip clubs and they're dating strippers. It's like, you realize you guys are the epitome of dumb fuck, right? I mean, you're the epitome of it. Like, no, man. I'm like, no, you're the epitome of stupid fuck. Okay.
Now, having been young and stupid, I will tell you that while I'm not any young kids that are watching, I do not recommend dating a stripper. However, dating a stripper is a lot like eating a crunchy bag of chips, a noisy bag of chips in church. Everyone's going to look at you disapproving, but deep down inside, they want some of them fucking chips.
Well, maybe, I just look at them and go, I don't need the fucking carbs. I don't need the fucking carbs.
You guys have heard Aaron long enough, and I think I've said this before. Poor Decision Mike is an actual person. Like, Poor Decision Mike actually existed before I met Aaron. But when I decided that Poor Decision Mike needed a persona, I picked Aaron Frederick. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to share a screen right now. This is a picture from Aaron's Instagram. Now I want you to look at that picture of Aaron Frederick and look at the PDM shirt that is my merch with Poor Decision Mike on it. The shirts were made before I ever saw that picture.
Man, I was working. I was hot, and I wear a cowboy hat most of the time.
There's one hanging up back there that I wear a lot.
Well, I wear that. That's one of my outside summer hats. That's a summer hat, but I wear a cowboy hat most of the time. The place I work right now,
we won't get into that because then we'll both get upset and we'll get the channel demonetized.
They were like, I don't know if we're gonna let you wear a hat in here. Like I don't give a fuck if you're gonna let me or not, but it's on my head, ain't it? I said, I don't give a fuck one way or the other. And they were like, well, generally they don't. And I was like, generally your all's hats don't cost more than your whole fucking outfit does too, but my hat does. So
I'll say
you can just move the fuck along, and I've got a couple arguing with me.
I got a couple $200 hats, and I have a $500 felt.
Yeah, that's what I said. That
Resistol
when they were saying that, I had a Resistol hat on. I was like, "How about you just move the fuck along? How about that?" You know, it's like at this point, right now, this business can't stay open without me. So just move the fuck along. You know, so fuck your sensitivity. You know, my cup doesn't say nothing except hefty.
hefty. So
I'm cheaper than fuck.
So Snuznuz says it's going to be demonetized, Mike. I don't know what you're thinking. That deal left this video when you dreamed it up. Yeah, it's a good chance. So you know what that means, guys? That means that somebody needs to start dropping super chats, or I'm not going to make any money on this video. I'm kidding. You don't have to drop super
I have
chats.
no idea what that even means. So, you know,
they can. So you'll see it when people come in and they'll drop a comment that has money attached to it. They don't have to do it. That was absolutely a joke. So I see. There you go, Jared. And then me being me, I have a.
Oh, okay. Now I understand the comment.
I understand the comment. I ring the bell. So that's Jared Neves from Neves Knives. So now I kind of know how this was going to go. So I didn't write down a bunch of questions, and I know there's questions I might ask you.
We're gonna stray in a.
Well, like I told Nick Shabazz. I told him, I was like, Nick, it's a 2-hour. You remember Nick from when we ate there at Vegas? So I told Nick, I was like, it's a 2-hour podcast. He's like, yeah, how are we going to fill 2 hours? And I was like, you'll see. Like, it doesn't take very long. 2 hours and 15 minutes later, he was like, I was like, you realize it's been 2 hours and like 20 minutes. He goes, I didn't believe it. It's like, I can't believe it. It went so fast. So I have to. So tell us about yourself, Aaron Frederick, and how you got into knives. Now, I kind of already know the story. And the funny thing is, like, I tell people about your knives and Frederick knives, and they're like, oh, he must be a new maker. And I'm like, well, he's been making knives longer than a lot of other makers have been alive. So go ahead and tell us about how that all came into play.
All right. Well.
Oh, no, not that.
Whoop, not that.
Wrong button.
That's all right. Yeah, I know you know how to push buttons.
I was trying to do that.
All right. Well, let's see. Was it 2000? Yeah, in 2004, I started dating one of the biggest maker in the world's daughter. So after I'd been hanging around a little while, at 16 or something like that, it was like I was very curious of what he was doing. And by the way, I'm talking about John W. Smith. And some of you people may not know who John W. Smith is because John, I'll just explain this. What was it? 5 years ago, John had a stroke and isn't making as many knives as he was. But John was one of the biggest high-end, like super high-end makers there was in the entire world. But John also was one of the predecessors of all of the tactical knives that you talk about. And I know a lot of people have the Emersons, the Kit Carson, Hinder, even Stride long before Mick, because me and Mick are great friends. But
I was going to say, I think even it was John Mick. W. Smith. It was John W. Smith and Bob Terzuola. Those were those were the two about the same time.
There was a whole group of knives, and there was a collection of these guys that made a group of knives. It was Terzuola, it was Kit Carson, Pat Crawford, John, and I'll remember in a minute. But they made a LBC group of knives, and that was some of your very first, what you'd consider your bead blasted tactical knives. And that was the big explosion of all these knives. And so John was one of them. The biggest thing about John is that he made a $10,000 knife and he made a $400 knife. So that's where I came in. John was making a little bit of everything, and I started learning how to do it. And me and John have different lines. Me and you both know, and me and you have talked about this many times. John and me have different lines. John has a very, very straight line on knives, and I have a very curvy. Most of my knives curvy. I mean, I've got one sitting here, and you can tell, my knives curve. I can't make a straight line on fucking anything, and so I just don't like straight lines. So, but John had that kind of influence. So when it comes down to it, I learned how to make knives like his, not just like his, but we put things together the same way. So in the early 90s and the late 90s and things like that, that's when the big Damascus boom, the higher end knife thing boomed. And then so me and John together, because by that time, me and Melissa had been together for a while. We got into forging. We did that together. We built a forge. We built, presses and things like that. And we got into high-end knives. And so for many years, all I really did was art knives. I did a lot of Damascus. I did a lot of pearl and ivory, that kind of knife. I did a lot of gold. I did that kind of knife. I've always done a tremendous amount of file work on stuff because I just like to do file work. The shift that actually happened, and me and you both know it very, very well. The shift that happened in the knife industry happened after the towers hit the ground.
Yep.
The entire knife market started switching to a certain deal. And at one point, and I don't say this braggingly, but at one point in probably 2003, 2004, and I was already reserved at this time. I was already in the Navy at this time. But in 2003 and 2004, there was a market of about a $600 knife.
Yeah.
Right in that $600 range. I owned it. Man, I owned it. You had to be John or Kit or Pat Crawford or Terzola or one of those to not get what you got from a $600 knife in the range that I did, because I used ivory, I used pearl, I used Damascus and stainless steel blades, and I file worked the fuck out of them. And I was getting $600 for them with 14 karat gold, thumb studs and things like that.
Yeah.
I owned that range and I sold the shit out of them. But then when shit started getting really stupid, I decided I was going to go active duty. And when I went active duty, I just produced a few knives at a time, because when I went active duty, it wasn't that big a deal until I went VBSS.
Yeah. And then that 48-hour tether.
And then I bounced so much so fast that I didn't do anything. So when I got hurt the last time and decided, well, okay, I'm done. Missy had made the decision.
Can you see the comment here? Wait. This is Aaron Frederick. Smatch it? Because remember, I got the Smatch It from you and I sold it.
I have a pattern over there.
Yeah, he's the one that made it, Snuzz. Absolutely the one that made it.
So when I came back to the business, man, there's no way to describe that. When I came back to the knife business, and I've told this story before. I finally came back, and this was in 2011. I was still IRR in 2011. I still had to report in, but Larry Brahms called me and said, "I hear you're out." And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Will you come to the USN show?" Maybe. I don't know. And he goes, "Please come to the USN show." So I had a couple of months to prepare. So I decided I'd go to the USN show. And I got to the room and I looked around and I knew a few people, but I didn't know a lot. And that was a weird sensation when I come to a show, because you got to understand, this is the first show, but the only other show I went to a show when I was still active. I just had my left leg completely put together in 2010. I went to a show, the AKI, the Art Knife Invitational, the Maker of Maker fucking show. I went to the AKI because John asked me if I wanted to go. I had leave. I had so much leave. So I go to the AKI. I knew everyone in the room. There's 25 makers. I grew up with every single one of these fuckers.
I was gonna say, weren't you like, didn't you know Kit Carson? And I mean, you knew all those guys, right?
I have patterns laying around my shop, the actual hard patterns of Kit Carson. The people who I used to be in the Knife Makers Guild. I'm not anymore because they pissed me off. That's a totally different story. But
so that's a story gets told. That's a story that gets told when there's a little bit more consumption.
Bob Lovelace signed my fucking guild letter.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob Lovelace actually signed
that. Bob Lovelace, guys. That Bob Lovelace.
Bob Lovelace signed my guild application. Okay. So Kit Carson signed my guild application. Pat Crawford signed my guild application. You know, so when I went into the guild, it was kind of like, hey, just give him voting rights, you know. And so that's the people who signed my shit, you know. So, but anyway, I'm not in the guild anymore. But
I've heard the story, and it irritates me too. That was some BS.
Anyway, I go to this show. I'm sitting there, and there's a maker behind me. I know who it is, but I'm not even going to talk about that. But anyway, he looks over my shoulder and he's looking at my knives. He says, "Oh, those are nice. Thanks." He goes, "You know, you need to maybe think about developing some of your own style, though." Okay. And I'm just ignoring this dumb fuck behind me anyway. And so he's sitting there and he's looking, because your knives look, you know, just like some of these other people's, you know, and you know, you need to. Okay. I'm sitting there looking at him like, who the fuck are you, and why are you fucking talking to me? Because I'm still like, I'll stab you in the fucking throat. Do you understand? I have absolutely no fucks to give right now. Why are you fucking talking to me? I'm not even fucking healed up yet. I'll kill you. Just get the fuck away from me. Maybe 30 seconds later, Todd Begg walks up. Todd Begg walks up and goes, "Aaron, hey man." And he goes, "Fuck, it's good to see you. Hey man, how you doing?" Todd Begg goes, "God man, how have you been?" I said, "I'm good." He goes, "Man, I ain't seen you in fucking ever." And I'm like, "Yeah, I ain't seen you in a while either." And the guy that's behind me goes, "Hey, you know him?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I thought he was a new maker." And he goes, "Fuck, he's been making knives longer than me."
I was gonna say, you've been making knives for fucking ever.
I look back at the guy and I go, "Oh yeah, those knives that you were talking about that looked like somebody, they were fucking mine."
I was gonna say,
we're like, so. Like,
gotta get angry at it.
Like, so, yeah, I've been here longer than you. And he was like, "Oh, okay." You know, and now the sad part about it is the motherfucker's probably a bigger maker than me now. You know, and now because I don't play the fucking game that these guys do.
No, and you have a bad habit of trying to compare yourself to. I mean, and it comes from the fact that you were trained by fucking knife royalty. You have a tendency to compare yourself to that and think that that's, and I mean, your knives stand up on their own, and you just still are trying to compare yourself to people that are just literally knife fucking royalty. And you really can't. You do something different and you do it well. I've had two of your knives. They're amazing. And the fact that you'll sell a knife that nice for like $300. What'd you do? Did you spill?
No, I got a fucking gnat in it.
It's protein.
I got it out.
I'll save it. I'll save it. So I actually have a question. So we've talked about you. What was the first knife you ever owned? Not the first knife you ever made, but the first knife you ever owned.
The first knife that I can actually remember carrying is a buck. What are they? 505s. They're not a very big knife. It's a little folder.
Yeah. The little
Silver on both ends, little wood handles. I carried one of those.
Looks a lot like a tiny buck 110.
I carried one of those for fucking years, and the reason being is that I am still in the camp that I do not carry a big knife. I never have. I want a big knife if I've got to cut something big, but what's in my pocket is fucking tiny. Even the knives that I carry now.
It's not just what's in your pocket that's tiny.
Yeah. Well, I've got a little dick, so I've got used to it. I've got real used to it. I got a tiny little dick.
That's what I was getting at.
And I still have it.
Your little dick? I would imagine, unless you left it somewhere.
No, she's got it upstairs in her purse.
Your balls called. They went out of your wife's purse.
I've been married a long time. Today is actually my wife's birthday, and here I am with your ass.
Well, that's sweet. Tell Missy I said hi.
I
love
will.
Your wife. She is so sweet.
She won't give a fuck that I'm down here. So what?
Yeah. This is okay. So you remember my little buddy? If you can see the comment that I just popped up on the screen, my little buddy that kept running to get us beers. That's him. He just.
Where's Nika?
Right there, the Hobbit.
Oh, well, all I see is this much of his picture.
I know he did that on purpose to make himself look tall. Like, holy crap, look how tall he is. He's not. I wanted to film a video with him.
I've got a 3 foot level right here. It's only this much shorter than Nika.
So that was your first knife, but what let's see, I already know what got you into knives. What is your favorite knife you've ever owned?
Owned or used?
Nah, it doesn't matter, either one.
Well, the owned, I don't know. That's hard. I have more prototypes of John W. Smith than anyone alive. Okay, so I have tons of knives. Now, there is knives of his that I really wish I could afford to own. If I could ever find a couple, I will buy them. But the problem is the last time I seen them, they sold for $20,000.
I was gonna say they're up there with Bob Loveless territory, like 10.
So, but I carried a Smith. I got a Smith, and I could go over and get it. It's actually behind me in the safe. I carried a Smith from the time I was a sophomore in high school until I was probably an E5 in the Navy. So
okay, so Eric says, please do. He wants to see it. We have time as long as your headphones are wireless and we can keep communicating while you're getting it.
No, they're fine. I've sharpened it down to the point that the blade is fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You sharpen it so much that it's short. But I mean, I carried that knife forever. It was a great knife. I carried it and carried it and carried it. I carried it until I just goes, well, okay, I need another one. And then John made me another one. And he made me a second one out of 420V. And I carried that one. That was you remember the straps on your tack?
Mm-hmm.
I carried it up here. So I had a really, really sharp one up here if I needed to do something. Yeah, at 420, when I had it really sharp, I'd pull it down. Well, you cut anything and stick it back up. I carried that one for years, But yeah, that was a good one. I designed the first VBSS knife, the breacher.
Yeah.
I designed the breacher and sent John the actual drawing and said, "Can you make this out of whatever you can make it out of?" Oh, sorry. And no matter how I carry it or whatever, can you send it to me? And so I carried that for a while. The very first breacher I drew it up.
Is that the one that's got
That's
like the
flat tip?
The flat tip, almost like a diving style, like it looks like a diving knife where it's just flat on the end.
But that's so I could drive it into shit. I drove it in and shit. I'd hit it with a fucking Halligan tool if I had to. We drive it into anything because
those of you guys that don't know what a Halligan tool is, it's got a spike on one side, it's got like a hook on the other, and then it's got a pry bar on the other end. It's just a big medieval looking motherfucker.
We would set it on the edge and fucking drive it in there. I mean, you could literally the breachers when I designed them, you could stick them in those fucking mud walls.
Yeah,
the joints. You stand on the motherfucker.
Yeah,
I did it all the time. You just stab them in there and just okay. I'm gonna take a look. Oh, yep. No, there's a guy. There's a guy right there.
There's somewhere up there. There's a dude there. Some of you guys shoot him. Step up on the knife and shoot him.
Marines, get those guys. I'm standing down here. I'm not supposed to be in the desert. I'm supposed to be in the water. Fuck you guys.
You ever miss it?
Every day.
It's like everybody's like, that's that dumb question that people ask me. Like, hey, do you miss it? I'm like, do you like breathing? I mean, that's a dumb fucking question.
The worst decision I ever made was getting out. Every day.
The worst decision the Navy ever made for me was saying, hey, you got to get out. Sorry about that.
Yeah, mine was leaving. That was worst decision I ever made in my life.
I mean, you can't. But here's the thing: like, you got all that time. You know what? I think about it. I don't miss being in the military. I miss the things, the people. I miss people like guys like you and all the guys that I got to hang out with and spend time with. That's what I miss. So Jared, not Jared. It's not Jared. He can put his name up here as Jared all he wants. It's Tammy, because that's how his fucking shit was all set up for so long. Jared says, Mike, you guys should debate on who is more country. And I'm like, I don't think anyone's going to win that way.
He lives in fucking California. I win. Fuck that.
I don't live out here because I want to.
I don't care. I live in the middle of 550 acres. I fuck you. You lose.
I think he wins.
Have you listened to me talk? He's lost his fucking accent. Mine is never fucking going away.
I didn't lose mine. I drug it out into an alley and I shot it.
I know, but
you can't get laid with that accent.
These people, I get laid all the time.
That's because you married someone that has the same fucking accent.
She's the fucking Southern Belle. But
you two need more country guys here, and we have a blue collar comedy tour. This shit is great.
I was gonna say, have these guys ever listened to the fucking Knock Nuts podcast? I was gonna say, the longer I talk, the more country Jake gets.
Oh yeah,
every time. Jake.
Oh, I came back from that Vegas trip.
Yeah,
I came back from that Vegas trip talking to you, and my wife was like, "What happened to you?" And I'm like, "I was around there." Jake starts
sounding like me every time he gets around me. He's like, everybody says, "Man, Jake compensates. He just starts sounding like you." I'm like, man, it's not like I'm somebody to emulate. I'm as fucked up as any person could be.
I am not a role model.
I am a fucking drunk knife maker. I am not somebody to fucking emulate.
I had somebody tell me one time, or like, oh, I wouldn't, like, oh, you made that knife while you were drinking, and I was like, motherfucker, like, let me explain something to you. I was like, I don't know many knife makers that even step to the grinder before they've had at least 2 beers. Like, because if you don't, like, I walk up to the grinder. I walk up to the grinder, and I'm like, I ain't ready for this yet. I gotta have a couple beers, maybe a shot.
Now, every once in a while, I'll come back to the shop and look. Yeah, let's see. I've got a blade somewhere. Yeah, here we go. So these are fucking perfect examples. This is one of the original Trash Bandits right here. I can come back to the shop sometimes and I'll look at those and go, what the fuck did I do?
I remember,
and I'll spend I'll spend probably the first hour trying to fix everything that I did before I left the shop the night before. Like, fuck.
Guys,
Jeez.
I was in the shop. I was in Elliot's shop, and it was late. It was late here. And he calls me. He goes, "Hey, man, what you doing?" And I was like, "I'm making knives." He's like, "Me too." He's like, "But I think I'm sleeping in the shop tonight because I'm too goddamn drunk." He's like, "I'm pretty sure that I'll be driving down the road and putting the truck in the ditch." And I was like, "So what are you going to do?" He's like, "Oh, I was going to cut something out." And then I hear him. This is what I hear. Hear all that rummaging right now? That's what I hear. And he goes, and I hear a piece of equipment come on. And he's like, "Yeah, I might be a little too drunk to use that bandsaw." He's like, "I don't think that's a good idea."
I've never been too drunk for a bandsaw.
That's not what you told me that night.
I've been too drunk for a fucking a table saw before, but not a bandsaw. Bandsaw, I can get the cutter real low. I'm looking for the knife the guy asked me about, so I'll be right back.
Hey, but so he said, he's like, "Nah, I'm gonna try and make it to the house." And he was explaining to me like his road that leads to his house, just a 1-lane road. And he's like, "I'm way up on the steering wheel," and he's like, "I'm trying to find the middle of the road." And he's like, "Oh, there's the left, there's the right, there's the left." And he said, "I'd be goddamn if I put that fucking thing in the ditch again." I was like, "Where'd you go?" And what did you walk back that night, didn't you, Aaron?
What?
That night that you called me, you said you were too drunk to drive down the 1.5-mile road that's just like,
oh
one
my
lane.
Gosh, yes. I
you put it in the ditch. Would you get like halfway home from the shop?
I got halfway home and walked.
And if you put it in the ditch, you're like, he's like, "I was up on it." He's like, "It's only one road, 1 lane." He's like, "There's no oncoming traffic." He's like, "I'll be goddamned if I didn't put it in the ditch." He's like, "I'm walking home."
Yeah. And then I got up, I set an alarm and got up before everybody else did. And I walked down there and I got the fucking thing and pulled it up in the driveway. And she was like, "Did you just come home?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I wound up sleeping. I wound up sleeping down here, and it was before my shop was down here.
Yeah.
So I came in, and then I came straight down here because my game room was down here, and I slept. I slept down here, and it was like, "Where have you been?" It's like, "Oh, I fell asleep downstairs," and now I'm just coming back. Oh shit! It was like, and the whole time I was like, "I can't believe she bought that shit right there." Wow.
That night you called me.
I found it.
Oh, you found? Let me see. I'm curious.
Yeah,
let's pull up the solo, guys. Before you even say
I broke it.
I
broke it. So just understand, I broke it. This is it. I broke it because I'm a dumbass. Okay, so I broke it.
Okay.
I broke it. I carried that knife for so many years, and the bad part is if I could zoom in. Let's see if we can zoom in.
I can't.
No, I've got to try.
He's like, "I can't work it. It's backwards."
It is backwards. Come on. Come on.
What are you trying to show us? Lockup?
No, you see the name.
No,
you can't.
No, not on a 750p.
All right.
I can see that it's been engraved.
Okay, it's truly engraved, and it says P. It says John W. Smith, and it's engraved. It's not etched in there. It's John W. Smith,
and it's a prototype.
It says prototype. Yeah, and I carried this one. It's got desert ironwood handle. I carried this knife for so long. But that somebody asked me, "Hey, can you show me the knife?" There it is, buddy. There it is.
So Aaron and I, do you remember? So we were at USN and we were there for my birthday, and it was me and you and Will and Eric Clutch and Nico, and we had my birthday and we ate at the buffet. And all I wanted to do was I didn't care where we ate. I just wanted to get all you could drink buffet thing. And I sat down there and they were trying to remember. They were like, "You guys have got to go." And I'm like, "But I haven't had all I can drink yet."
Yeah.
And the lady was like, "I will give you another beer if you can drink it on your way out." And just leave. I was like, "Okay." And so
can
you didn't
give me another one because I'll drink it too.
You didn't go to the Cove, and Nico and I went up to the Cove because I had to go talk to Artisan about the sea snake design that they now make. And I went up there, and that's when Ramon Chavez and Jason McCoy and like 3 other people found out it was my birthday and started pouring alcohol down my face and down my throat and just pouring it into my head.
Oh yeah, like it's all their fault.
So the next morning I get up and I walk into the showroom, and Nico and I had breakfast, and a little waitress had poured a shot of whiskey in my coffee. And I walked in, and you looked at me and you were like, good God. you look like the floor of a theater.
Yeah.
Can you watch my table for a minute? And I was like, no, man, I can't do shit. I felt like 3 miles of country road on a 10-speed bicycle.
Yeah, it was
rough.
You was bad off.
Oh, that didn't look good at all.
Yeah, that's one of the deals that I truly regret that has fallen through on me.
What?
It's the Artisan knives.
Well, it's still available. I mean, we still can talk to Russell. We just got to get the PDF, not PDF.
Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Here's the bad part.
Okay, what's the bad part?
Here's the knives.
There's the knives. Nico says that was a rough day, and I was like, yeah, I'm the one that drove all the way back to San Diego. Yeah, that's the F off folder, right?
Here's the F off folder. Here's the other one they asked for. They wanted a which I never understood this. They were like, oh well, we've got a whole lot of worm clips. And they're like, well,
so?
And they were like, well, maybe do something else. I'm like, and they're like, well, do something else. So I finally designed and got it going the other version of it. This is
I remember you said that they love the knife, but we want to put a drop point blade in it. You're like, you do realize that changes stop pin position and pivot and everything, right?
I was like, nothing will work the same. They were like, oh,
they're like, so you don't like that knife? You want a different knife? Is what you're telling me? Like, we like that knife, but we want this.
Here it is. I mean, this is truly it right here. I have it right here.
Yeah, you got the patterns.
No, the pattern's done. This is a one that I'm going to finish.
Oh,
I just haven't surface grounded. This is one that I could finish. The other one is.
You got to do something about that. I can't get past the fact that you got that much hair. Like, I just can't. It's just fucking me up. The last time I saw, so you guys got to know. You guys got to realize. The last time I saw Aaron, he had the fucking crew cut flat top.
The last time you see me, I was also a game warden.
No, you hadn't started that yet. You were getting ready.
No, I went to the police academy and was a game warden, and I lost my left knee again.
Where'd you leave it?
I left it.
Go back and find it?
Somalia, I guess. It finally just gave the fuck up, and there I was.
I left mine on the steps in Point Loma when I was running that day. Running up the steps at the sub base.
I thought you left it in a fucking bar fight in Japan.
No, that's where I left a big chunk of my face.
Yeah. I got you.
And apparently most of a tooth. So
I had one of these broke out with a gun butt. Yeah, it was awesome.
I had this one. So I was in the armory on the USS, would have been the USS Fort McHenry. You know, some of those amphib armories pretty small, right? And
I was on amphibs a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the Fort McHenry one was just really narrow. And so we had the racks for the barrels for the 50 cals and all this shit. And I'm handing
come down the rack.
Yeah.
Come down the ladder well.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah. Ooh, for the curse jar. But so we were trying to get 50 cals out. Oh, I forgot I even had a bell. So we were trying to get 50 cals out, and I told this kid Tashner, I was like, just don't. There's not a lot of room down here. Don't go fucking throw anything up on your shoulder till you get out in the little foyer in the vestibule in the vegetable.
going
out
up
in a vegetable and
fucking-
then go up, get that shit up on you. And that kid didn't listen to me and hit me right in the mouth with the threaded end of a 50 cal barrel and knocked my tooth, just broke it off at the gum line. And everybody was like, run, fucking go. Just go now. You need to get the fuck out of here.
I'd have beat him fucking senseless.
I almost did, but I was already in enough trouble at that command. I did not have a good tour. I didn't need any more trouble. GM2 was not having a good time on that ship.
You needed a healing tour after that one, huh?
Oh, I went to shore duty after that one.
You
I almost got out.
A healing tour. That's what all you people that don't understand Navy talk, there is a thing called a healing billet. You have a healing tour. When you fuck up real bad, the next billet is called a healing tour. You just trying to stay out of trouble for the next 2 years and go on.
I had 3 years on shore duty, made first class, wound up being the AD&C Ammunition Distribution and Control Officer. I was second only to the ordnance officer because we had a warrant officer who came in. He did not want to. He came in. He was supposed to be the AD&C officer, and he didn't want to do it. He was like, oh, no. But then he wanted to try and tell me what I had to do, and he goes, no, positional authority. Technically, he's your boss. If you don't like it, Warrant, come up here, take his job, and he'll go back down to
FFZ, buddy. Fuck you.
But he didn't want that level of responsibility. I was responsible for 500,000 tons of ordnance at any given time. And
you didn't even have to go when you were on the West Coast. Where
I was in Japan. This was in Japan. I was at NavMag Sasebo, Japan, the largest
that would be
facility Pacific Rim.
In the United States, for all you dumb fucks that don't know, that would be Earl, New Jersey.
Yeah.
That would be Earl, New Jersey.
Earl was the biggest one
on this side.
And I was the biggest one, Oconus. I was at the largest NavMag Oconus.
I'm sure that none of these people understand what the fuck we're talking about, but
Aaron, we had magazines that you could drive a semi into and like have them stacked next to each other if you wanted to. Like that's where we stored our trucks. Like during hurricanes, empty magazines. They would just drive all of the flatbeds
in because they had the whole area.
Well, it was in Japan, the way they had it set up for the war. They actually were trains that ran through in and out. It had an opening on each end. They were tunnel magazines, and you just loaded the train cars from these big raised areas. And it was basically like you had 2 trains could go in there at the same time and then still have enough room for ordnance and things like that. The doors on the magazines were the size of most houses. It was insane.
It just astounds me that I never was there, but maybe my granddad was. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we had 2 separate facilities. A total of like, I want to say we had like 97 magazines, 500,000 tons of ordnance at any given time. On just at the small site, at the big site where we had I forget what the total amounts were. It was classified totals were insane. Unclassified was like 750,000 tons at any given time on site. Yeah, that's a lot. But we were the loadout point for all the USNS. Everybody
coming through. Everybody coming through.
We did,
and I'm one of the few people that is sitting here that can understand it. So these cunts
there's some prior military.
There's going to be some in here, but the bad thing is you have to be Navy. You have to be Navy, and you have to actually be in an AO or a GM to understand to understand this stuff. So
Zach stuff. Happy Friday! Thank you, Zach. Zach was my last podcast guest. We had a lot of fun.
What's Zach do?
Huh?
What's Zach do?
I don't know what Zach does, but Zach has a channel with almost 10,000 subscribers. He does a lot of stuff.
I mean,
he's a Benchmade guy. But he has a YouTube channel like mine. We review knives, stuff that comes in. I wanted to show you this. I have a knife because you like curvy stuff and you've done some recurves. Do you know Sharif Manganis? Have you ever heard of him?
I know the name.
He designed this knife. I love this knife. This is a nice little recurve, not too bright. This is a great, great knife. I'm going to keep showing that to people. Jared Neves, who was up here earlier, actually sent this to me. And when I was getting ready to send it back to him, when I did a review, he was like, no, keep it. That's yours. Because he got 2 of them. So nice little knife. So
I just want to show you something.
Okay. It better not be your penis.
No, I got to stack.
I can't zoom in. I can't zoom in far enough to get a good shot of it.
I got stack. No, you can't zoom in enough to show my Peter because it's too small. So
I heard you could hold it with 3 fingers, but you're pissing on 2 of them.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's fucking truth. That's a gunner's mate problem. You don't have that?
No, well, I married an Asian.
Oh yeah, you fucked up. So when I was at the show in Vegas, because I went to the USN, since I've been doing so much woodwork and stuff like that,
I saw some of your cutting boards,
with the cutting boards and everything like that. So I brought a whole bunch of strops when I went to the show. So I'm still doing cutting board type strops.
Oh, those
and
are
then
cool.
So I had to buy a bunch of leather. So I've got a whole bunch of these that I've just made. And the next show I'm going to is in November in Nashville.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to have a whole bunch of these, and they're made just like cutting boards. I pin them together. Everybody can see these cameras. Hang
on.
The camera backwards shit fucks with me.
Well, it's not backwards. It's actually mirrored.
I haven't sanded these. I just glued these together with the pins. So I'm actually pinning these together. Somebody asked me about, what are you doing to keep them from falling apart? I was like, well, fuck, dude, they're already dovetailed, and then I pin them,
glued,
and they're glued and they're pinned on both sides. So
can I flip it so they can see the dovetail? Can you see the dovetail on the end?
No, because I do it on the inside.
Oh, okay.
I do it on the inside, so I actually have the joiner to do it, so you can't see it. They're not coming apart.
Yeah.
I do another one that's made like a cutting board, but my God, it takes so long that I just didn't feel like everybody's going to pay for them. They didn't. So I was doing them that had every layer. If anybody wants those, I'll still make them. But it was just like,
if you send me a link, I'll make sure that there's that I put it in the description below.
Since that's always my problem, because I don't play the internet game very well, and you know it.
I don't internet.
I don't fucking Instagram and Facebook very well. Actually, my problem with most of it is that I got banned from being able to do anything.
Well, because you had pew content, and because we can't say what it was. You have pew content,
and so now I have been spread out to the point that I can't do it. So I gave up on most of it, and most of the people that are probably still your audience, they got so used to everybody being on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. Well, you start looking around and you're not finding it, because I got banned because I had a pew. I patented a pew site.
Yeah.
For I don't know if are you allowed to say shotguns? Shit.
Yeah, you can say it once, but we can't say it more than once. But
okay.
They'll shut me down.
So I had a patented thing that went on a thing, and I sold them very well. And then all of a sudden, they decided they wanted to go communist because they hate freedom.
Oh, we can't say that either. No, I'm not joking. There is a list. So when I first started my YouTube channel, there's like 12 words you couldn't say. There's like 12 words you couldn't say. And now there is literally a list of 2,700. When I saw it the other day, 2,700 words you can't say on YouTube anymore. And I have to think, like, me, I don't think a lot. Is this not the face of a big thinker? So I had to learn.
Anyway,
and so I went through and actually in the comments, I
thing.
banned those words. You can't even write them anymore.
Shit, I had a thing that went on a thing.
On a boomstick. This is my boomstick.
It went a boomstick, and I patented, and I paid for the patent myself, and I was doing really well. And all of a sudden,
you can't sell it.
I can't sell it because I can't advertise. So, anyway, when they ban my boomstick thing, they ban most of my knife stuff.
Yeah. Well, they've banned most of the knife stuff anyway. Like most of the knife tags.
Well, so
hey, before we go,
the
Nick
real
says
question for him: a blue tile bond or green? What?
The glue for your wood. Is it blue or green? The tight glue.
I use 3 green.
There you go.
I can go get it. It's behind me. I just used some a little while ago because I'm working on a porch swing for my wife.
There you go. Josh Worth says, you would think they love the C word, but they don't. Like, you're not allowed to say it.
Which one, cunt?
You know what? I don't think anybody, some of those social justice warriors have a problem with it. And I
don't know that.
I think that's because they're cunts.
They can ban me, but your cunt mouth is one of my favorite words. That's one of my, I say it at work. When I get pissed off at somebody, I go, the next thing out of your cunt mouth better be thank you. And my boss says, you can't say that. And it's like, I just fucking did.
I did. What do you mean I can't? God would stop me. I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but definitely I absolutely
just did.
Can.
And the mechanics look around the corner and go, Big Country's pissed.
So I was on my second ship, and they had come. It was a San Diego Navy, and the crew was all San Diego.
Yeah.
It was the first ship that they had done it was like the first one they'd done a hull swaps, or not.
Okay,
It was the last one.
I got to stop you for a second. For everybody listening, East Coast Navy and West Coast Navy. Us guys on the East Coast, we call everybody on the West Coast a bunch of soft fucking cunts.
And I was I was in Japan, which was even worse.
So you just gotta understand that. You gotta understand that before the story is going to hit true. Okay.
So and if you were 7th Fleet, you were hard ass because you like everything. You were always 50% man. If you had 50% manning, you were like, holy shit, look how many people we got. Like you were happy if you were manned at 50%. And so I had transferred to a ship that the whole crew had come from San Diego. Like the entire crew came over. The ship had just come. All these guys from San Diego. And so GM2 was like I had already been in Japan for 4 years with a crew that was on a ship that had been in Japan for 14 years already. All those guys were all like hardcore 7th Fleet guys because guys in 7th Fleet just stayed in the 7th Fleet. And so I'd been there maybe 2 weeks, and I had this kid that worked with me who had been on my previous ship, and his name was Darren, and I was the LPO, and this kid, I was second class LPO, and we had a chief and a division officer and FCC, and so we're hey, I don't know where Aaron's going. He's going to pee in a bucket or something.
No, I'm going to mix the drink. You told me I couldn't mix the drink on fucking camera.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. But at any rate, so this chief was an FCC, and he was a really good guy, even though he was an FC. And so we're in the office, and I had told this kid to go clean the vestibule outside of the troop armory that morning. And so I'm trying to get everybody out. I'm doing paperwork. It was the first place I ever had a computer where I had to do paperwork. And so this kid comes up, and I'm like, I want to get everybody out. And I was like, Darren, did you go clean?
I didn't know I was there. Shit.
I was like, Darren, did you clean the vestibule outside of Troop Armory? And this kid just looked at me like a dog with like a dog in high pitched noise. Like, and I was like, Darren, did you clean? I want to get you guys the fuck out of here. Did you clean the vestibule outside of the Troop Armory? And he does it again. He looks at me like a dog listening to high pitched noise. And I'm like, and I put my head down and I took a deep breath and I was like, Darren, did you do it? He goes, huh? And I reached back and I hit him open-handed with everything I had. Like he had a handprint the size, like you shook hands with me. I got big hands. Like he had a handprint the size of my hand, and I took it from way back here. I knocked him almost out of a chair, and I was like, "Did you clean the fucking vestibule?" He was, "No." I was like, "Go do it right now." And he was like, "Okay," and he ran off. And fucking this female division officer we had is sitting there, and she goes, "Oh my God, he struck that sailor." And I see Chief do this. He's like, "Oh my God." He's like, "Ma'am, I got this." And he was like, and I just like, I didn't even think anything of it. And she's like, "I want you to take care of this, Chief." And Chief's like, I got it. And I'm typing up the end of day reports and shit. And he's like, "GM2. I was like, "What?" He goes, "You can't do that." And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "You can't hit other sailors." And I was like, "Since fucking when? I got the shit beat out of me on my last boat." What do you mean I can't hit him?
I didn't hit him.
I was like, did you see how fast? I was like, "Did you see how fast that motherfucker took off to do what I just told him?" Because he knew the next one was going to be worse. And he was like, "You can't do that." And I was like, "Okay, I'll tell you what. Obviously I can, because it just did, because it was the same conversation." I was like, "How about I just don't let the division officer see me do it?" And he goes, "Don't leave bruises."
Yeah.
like you could see in his face, and he was like, "Okay, I'm not going to be able to dissuade this young man from doing it. There's no way that he's going to." I was like, "How about I just do it and you guys don't ever fucking know about it?" And he's like, "Did you see the red mark on that young man's face?" And I was like, "Oh, I get him an ice pack or something, so it won't ever happen again." But if he does that shit again, I'm gonna knock the piss out of him.
Yeah.
There's
a reason I didn't get a good conduct medal before I made officer.
So this same kid that I smacked the crap out of, like 2 days later, we're down at the armory, and he's a third class. I was second class, and then comes one of the seamen comes in. I was doing. You remember the old boards, the maintenance boards, and you had to write them by hand.
Yeah, the grease pencil one.
No, yeah, the grease. But I was doing cycle boards, so you had to do them in pencil, and then had to show them your division officer.
Oh, okay.
And then when they approved it, you'd ink them.
Yeah.
And I'd been doing this, and she was like, "Well, I don't like that. Switch it back." And I had kept the original boards I did in pencil, and I just made a whole new one. And then at the end of the day, I was like, "Fuck it, I'll show her the first one." She goes, "Yeah, no, that looks fine." I was like, I fucking knew it did, but okay, bitch, you have no fucking clue." Yeah. And so I'm down there doing the ink over top of the pencil and erasing it as I go, and in comes one of these brand new seaman we had, and he flops down and turns the TV on. I was like, "Nope, get the fuck out, go clean the P-way, go get the fucking P-way cleaned, and so I can get you guys out of here. Don't even turn that TV on." And Overholt, the kid I had smacked like 2 days before, walks in, and this kid goes, "Why don't you fucking clean it? You ain't done a goddamn thing all day." And I was like, he saw the look on my face, and Overholt grabbed this kid by the collar, was like, "Get out here right fucking now. You have no idea. You have no idea what's about to happen to you. You have no fucking clue." He's like, I hear him out in P-way. He's like, "He will fucking kill you and hide the fucking body. He'll tell everyone you ran away." So, all right, I have to ask you a knife question. This is just fun. I just wanted to have you on so we could bullshit. What is your favorite thing about knife making and your least favorite? Like, what is your favorite part of making a knife? What's your least favorite part?
Least favorite. For some motherfucker to sit there and tell me on how I'm supposed to make my fucking knives. Some cocksucker decides he wants one of my knives. Okay, you want one of my knives? Great. I've done this for almost 30 fucking years. I could walk in the next room. I could literally look here. I got one right here. Right here. These fucking pictures. Let's turn them over. These fucking pictures right here are fucking 28 years old, and I'm not fucking joking with you.
Night, Duke.
Those are fucking 28 fucking years old. That's no shit.
I'm some good looking knives too.
I have done these motherfucking knives. I designed what I thought was useful, And for some dumb cunt that thinks that they know what the fuck's talking about on some fucking knife to tell me on how I'm supposed to fucking make it. That's the fucking reason that I just about quit doing fucking orders altogether. Some fucking cunt fucking bastard sitting there telling me on how I'm supposed to make my own fucking knives. They're my knives.
I'm definitely going to have to mark explicit content on this one for Apple Podcasts. Like this little thing. Does this podcast contain explicit content? I'm like, yes, it absolutely does contain explicit content.
Cunt is my favorite word. I'm sorry. Other than motherfucker.
You can't do this in the military anymore. You can't knife hand.
What?
Yeah. Like that. That's to knife hand. That's like.
You can't. You see that I do it all the time. I can't help it.
I do it to my kid. I'm like, she knows.
I do it all the time. I do it with both hands. If everybody in here has watched this thing, I do it every fucking 3 seconds. I can't help it. I do it at work. I tell the mechanics, it's like, motherfucker. And they're like,
that's when a military guy knife hands, that's when you know he's serious. Like there's two things, like my kid knows there's two things that she knows when I'm serious. It's one, if I'm knife hand, and two, if I have my hat and I Lincoln Hawk it. For those of you guys that don't know, Lincoln Hawk in your hat is, look here.
Or you just take the motherfucker off and throw it down. Look,
I don't throw my hat on the ground very often.
Oh, you don't remember whipping your cover off?
Oh, I do.
Yeah, I just don't do it anymore. I wore a fist cutter a lot of times. If I took that motherfucker and threw it down and I did that, everybody there was like, uh-oh.
I used to put the gun. You remember the gunner's mate lapel pin? I used to put them on the back of my command ball caps. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're still proud of your rate," and all the kids that work for me are like, "That's not it." They're like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "That's not it." He's like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "That motherfucker grabs the bill of his hat, smacks us with that thing, and it hurts. Like it's cracking the back of the head." You're like, "Ah, all right, I got you."
You know the funny thing? After I made ensign, when I made ensign, I had ball cap and a GM guns in the back.
Yeah.
I wore it on the back. And whenever they asked me about it, I was like, fuck around and find out.
No one wants to. I don't know how many of these kids were in the Navy, but like no one there's all kinds of people you mess with on a ship, and people then there's people like, yeah, I would leave him be alone. I just leave him alone. Like they're on the mess decks, like, no, don't like start harassing somebody. Or like, yeah, just not that one. Just leave him be.
Well, that was one of the, you said the mess decks. That will go back to what we were talking about. The funny thing is that a lot of times I get very fucking tired of the wardroom. Yeah. I go to the mess decks. And go through the line. All the people will be sitting there looking at me like, what's it? Just give me my food. Just put it out. Put it on my plate. And I go to the mess decks and I'd sit down. And they'd be like, it's crowded on the fucking mess decks on the fucking ship. No matter what.
It's always people busy, like, especially on like a carrier. You're on a carrier. It's busy.
I was on an LHA, LHD, most of the time. So they were like,
Nep says, I came here to listen about knives, but this has been way better.
We dumb motherfuckers. So you just stay here. We'll talk about knives
We'll talk about knives in a minute.
So I used to go down the mess decks and just sit down. And, eventually it'd fill up and everybody'd be like sitting there going, well, should I sit next to him or not? And I'd be like, they'd sit down and be, hey, what's up? They'd be like, sir, fucking don't call me sir down here. Just fucking talk to me. What's going on? What's going on with you? And
call me sir is like putting an elevator in an outhouse. It don't quite fit.
And they just sit there and they'd be like, well, I'm doing this and that. That's fucked up. Who's your chief? And they tell me and be like, yeah. I was like, so why are you having such a hard time? Well, I don't understand. All right. I think I can fix that. And they'd be like, sir, don't do that. Oh, they'll never know it.
Please don't do that.
They'll never know who fucking told you. I just go down there and check it out. They'll be like, can you do that? It's like, I can do anything I fucking want. I'm an officer. I can walk around anywhere.
I'm prior enlisted. Like, what the fuck are they going to do to me?
Yeah. That's like going around and asking who the bull is. You don't know what that is. You remember what the bull is?
I had a bull ensign that and like I just he was a bull ensign and he worked at NAVFAC and just people just walked all over him like no one. And so I snuck in one night and I fucking I took a set of bull horns like I ordered them and I fucking screwed and glued them on his fucking Kevlar and put them on his desk. And he was like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Sir, sometimes you got to show him who the bull is." And that motherfucker went to a meeting wearing a Kevlar bull horns. He's like, "I'm the bull," and I was like, "You probably should have done that because the bull ensign just is the senior ensign on the ship. That's it." I was like, that doesn't really give you anything.
I checked into a ship and they were there was a lieutenant that a very fucking bitter fucking lieutenant, and he goes,
"They all are."
Well, he was like, "Well, we're going to determine who the bull ensign is." I looked around the room. I looked on the other side. I seen over there. I was like, "You look as old as me." And he goes, I said, "Hey, you an LDO?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "I'm not an LDO." I said, "But I'm first class." He goes, "Well, fuck this place." And I said, "All right." And the lieutenant looked at us and he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Hey, lieutenant, I ain't playing your fucking game." He said, "Oh, we gotta make a bull ensign and stuff. I may be an ensign. You call me a bull ensign, I mean you're gonna have a problem, lieutenant." I said, "You prior enlisted?" And he goes, "No." I said, "Yeah, we out." me and the other guy got up and we left.
I'm trying. I have a picture of it. Okay, we do have to ask because this is a knife podcast. I have to ask you.
Go.
You said that's your. I meant part of the process. What's your least favorite part of the process of making it? Because for me, it's handles. I hate making handles. What's your least favorite part of making a knife? That's what I was.
All right. You give me a second?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm trying to find that picture of the
2 seconds. 2 seconds.
So, guys, while he's gone, we're just going to keep talking here.
I can hear you.
This is the least structured of my podcast so far, but that's okay because we kind of knew what we were getting into with Aaron.
Yeah, with the drunk ass. Yeah, you're going to get that.
Aaron is my spirit animal. We've gone off the rails with this one, but I think it's fun. My least favorite is making handles. I hate making handles because I always run into an issue where the handle, like something wasn't true and square, no matter how hard I try. You got the arms out? Is the shop crooked? What's going on? Oh dear.
Oh fuck. Here's the least favorite of all of it. Let's see, what's this say? 1996. Right here is the least favorite. This shit right here.
Designing it?
No, making it work. Designing it's no problem.
That's why I make fixed blades. I think if I made folders, it'd take
designing is no problem. You see, I have 4 fucking things on one fucking paper. Let's go to the next fucking group of fucking files. Making these motherfuckers work. See this one right here. This one's easy.
So you're talking about like the mechanism.
There's a fucking fixed blade. Fucking piece of cake. I measure it all. Yeah, that's great. Oh, awesome. Let's skip over fucking 3 pages. I'm
sure that if I made a folder, I would hate it. That's why I make fixed blade.
1, 2, 3. No, let's go 4. Okay, let's measure all this shit out. Here's another one. This is where the fucking bullshit comes from.
Oh right yeah, the actual mechanism, like
the mechanism. Oh, here. You were here. You were there for this motherfucking shit. TKI. This is the original. I wrote it on there. TKI 2016. This is where the bullshit comes in, because I understand that a lot of people do this shit on computer.
Mhm.
I understand that
But we've already established that you are not a technological.
they turn that
wizard.
shit and all that kind of stuff. Here is how I design my fucking computer stuff. This is a light table. It just plugs into the wall, and I have to fucking
I draw
tape.
on it.
I have to tape them down, and I draw on it. And every fucking knife that you get from me has never been on a CNC. It has never been fucking turned by some computer. I'm starting to slur my words.
I've noticed.
You know, that's the drawback on what I do. I have to do everything by hand.
Yeah.
I decided that shit. You have to understand, I decided that. I have an electricity, electronics, and robotics background. I know how to use some of the stuff. I could go back and understand how to do the CNC
Yeah.
and things like that. I didn't want to. I wanted to be able to take this pattern and make a knife.
Yeah.
I didn't want to fucking say, well, I'm going to get my fucking 500 of them cut out of lasers. You know, you ain't paying me to fucking cut out 500 of them at a time with a laser. That just isn't, that ain't right. If I told you that I was doing a whole bunch of them at a time, then fine. But I mean, even I threw one up earlier. I got to move all this shit, man, because I got it. Even these trash cans.
I almost opened a second beverage without realizing I had already opened one.
Even these trash pandas. When I originally thought that we were going to do the trash panda stuff, I was supposed to be working with my brother-in-law and my father-in-law.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it got to the point that my father-in-law couldn't, and my brother-in-law didn't want to. So all these, there's no CNC, there's no nothing. I finally got a different grinder. I got a Brian Fellholder Uber grinder. Is that what it's called? Does that sound right? I got an Uber grinder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an Uber grinder that could do all of this stuff without me really having a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
I make all these by hand. There is no CNC. There's no nothing.
Yeah.
Because I can't do them. I can't do them CNC because I don't have a CNC. John had a 1994 knee mill that would do a very basic. What the fuck am I looking at?
That's the
That's a bull ensign right there.
That was the bull ensign.
That's a bull ensign. I was gonna say I used to have that gold bar. Yeah, so you know that was kind of the thing. You know, you start doing that kind of stuff. That's the reason I've had to evolve, because I thought I was going in one direction, but
well, you and I had that evolution. You and I had that evolution conversation the other day on the phone.
Yeah, you know, so I'm hoping the knife industry realizes that they're still mid-tech makers. I understand those guys, and everybody that listens to this, they have to understand, I don't hold any of these people who have CNC machines and they can do their knives that way. I don't hold them to a different standard. I just do everything by hand.
Yeah.
And I do everything by hand by choice.
Like I said, I've had two of your knives. One of them I had in that I was selling for Nico, and that's that one he bought from you at TKI. And we both loved that knife. He had to get rid of it. And then I had that Smatch. It was great. And I can appreciate that. And I also have a Grimsmo Norseman. It was 100% CNC'd. And I can appreciate the detail and
Right.
and the tolerances and
It takes,
how perfect it is.
it takes a very special person to be able to program that stuff,
Yeah.
to be able to do it. It's a very, very high skill set to be
I'm
able
going
to
to tell
do
you
it.
what kind of person it takes. It takes a patient person, which is why neither one of us has a CNC machine.
Well, I actually have a computer's background and things
Yeah.
like that. I just never wanted to do it.
No.
Just didn't. I didn't want to go in that direction. That was my problem, and that's been my problem with the whole knife industry because I came in at a different time.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 years. If I had come in 5 years different, I would look at the entire business different than I do.
Well, and I'm the same way. Like I make fixed blade custom knives, and people just don't want them. They're like, well, I want it, but I want it at this price. And I'm like, well, then you need to go somewhere else, because at the price you want me to do it for you, like with the materials I'm using, and we've talked about it, like 20 CV at 64 Rockwell. Like I'm burning through belts. Like you can grind a knife with a belt. I can grind the edge off of a knife with a belt, like just to get rid of the sharp point. So,
well, depending on whether it's been heat treated or whether it's been not,
I
when
do
you
everything.
generally get them hard. You know, you
Yeah,
get them hard.
I do everything post heat treat. I don't do any pre treat grind. I do my shaping and dimensioning, and then I surface finish and everything after heat treat. So because that way, with 20 CV, you're taking it all the way to 2200 degrees. You quench that. There's a good chance that, like, if you've got any little stress risers from doing some preheat treat grind, there's a chance it's going to crack. You're just going to be on that, like, air, like quenching it between the aluminum plates, and here, tink, you're like, well, there goes 6 hours worth of work.
Yeah, there goes that shit.
Yeah.
So I used to get that when we first started to switch to S35 VN. When we first switched to S35 VN, we didn't know to quench it. We didn't know to quench it between the aluminum plates.
You're trying to oil clench it.
No, we were air quenching it.
Oh, okay.
And you could literally
watch it.
We would do, we would pull it out of the oven, and then we would clamp it and hang it, and let it air quench. We could watch it.
And you would watch it do this.
It would go. I was like, oh my gosh. And if it didn't do that, your heat, your pouch would go.
Yeah.
And it would weld it completely to it.
I did a video about that. Like, sometimes you'll get those things sucked on there, like, God, and like it takes, like, because when you
it doesn't come off. It don't come off.
You got to cut it off.
Sometimes it welds it. Sometimes it grinds off.
Yeah, you got to grind it off.
I've
had several that I had.
Like, we got to have some big aluminum plates,
like 1 inch thick.
Yeah, that was
like 2 foot by 2 foot, 1 inch thick plates,
and let them cool down between each knife.
Yeah,
that was the first time when we'd used it, and it was like, wow, we fucked up.
I actually know a guy that had gotten some of the V steels, like S120 and S90 and some 20 CV and stuff like that.
Okay.
And he was trying to forge them. Like he was like, I was like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I didn't know you couldn't do that. He's like, I had no idea. He's and I tried to oil quench them. He's like, they were all fucked up. And I was like, yeah, that's not a steel. That's stock removal steel right there. That's not shit. You try to,
man, I tell you what, Don Hanson III. Some of your guys will know who he is. Some of them won't. Don Hanson is a AKI maker.
Yeah.
Okay. Don Hanson started trying to do some niobium type stuff. He wanted to spread it out a little bit one time. And he goes, man, I hit that forge, and it goes, and he goes, wow, I realized I fucked up. And I was like, man, I can't believe that. And he goes like, yeah, I had no idea what I was dealing with. But Don would not care a bit that I told that story, because
Well, I'm gonna tell him the story because Aaron told me about how he caught the shop on fire. He's like, I got a fire. He's like, I thought I was just gonna write it off as a loss.
Man, if I did not have a pumped air, hose fucking respirator that I wore, we were fucked. We were done fucked.
I started a titanium fire by accident at Elliott's shop with 1095, a spark of 1095 and a pile of titanium dust. And I don't know if you guys know this, but titanium burns real fucking hot. I was like, God damn. And I was like, I kicked it out. Luckily I had like just a big handful of it and I kicked it out in the middle of the concrete floor. And I was like, how do I put this out? And Elliot looked at me and goes, you fucking don't. It just burns.
You don't.
So what is your favorite part about making a knife? So we already know that you don't like the having to design a mechanism.
No, the design. Man, I've made knives for damn long.
I know exactly what my favorite part is.
Usually, my favorite part of any of it is getting somebody that comes to me and telling me on how well something worked or how much they appreciate a design that I've done. The guys that come through and go, man, I tell you what, I got this knife and this is the reason. And I'd be like, that's pretty close to the reason I designed it. And they tell me on how much they like the fucking design. One story comes into mind. I did a couple of knives several years ago for, we'll say, Secret Service types, maybe CIA types, one of the two. And one of them comes back and was telling me on how well the knife performed. And I was like, I'm not sure I'm allowed to know this shit.
But
he was like, well, I'm pretty sure that you had as high clearance as I did. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure I had a higher clearance than you did, but okay. And he was like, man, I tell you what, this shit performed. I was like, I appreciate that. I like that kind of story.
Yeah.
On the Crash Panda stuff, I always told everybody on the slip joints, it was like, I don't care if you stabbed a crocodile in the fucking eye and you snapped the motherfucker off. I want a good fucking story.
Yeah, I'll fix anything, but you got to tell me how you broke it.
Those guys that I'm talking about.
Are you mixing your beverage of choice with Gatorade?
I ran out and I'd have to go upstairs. And I didn't figure you wanted to wait for me to go upstairs.
No, I was just asking because I'm like, that is genius because that's like the preemptive strike right there. That's like, how did you get a hangover if you're mixing it?
It's Diet Mountain Dew and Gatorade because I didn't figure you wanted me to go upstairs and wait. So
I'm pretty sure that would be hard to. That would be hard to. I just figured my audio subscribers on Apple. My favorite part about making a knife is when you're done and you realize that you took an unyielding piece of steel, like something that does not want to do what you want it to, and you made it do. You turned it into what you wanted. You kind of like forced it and made it.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you my wife.
Your will.
Let me tell you my wife's favorite part of making knives.
That you get paid?
When I get paid and I pay the bills that I have made before I went to the show, that's my wife's favorite part of fucking knives.
I forget what it was. I forget what it was. Like we were at the show. We were at the Vegas show at TKI.
Yeah, she probably told you that shit.
And no, but you remember Nico? Like Nico and I, like guys, I'm not joking. Like Aaron can tell you. Nico and I got called like almost every freaking lottery. It was either me or Nico. And we won, 3 of your fucking knives?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Nico bought one. I bought one. And then
I wound up just saying, you don't have to buy it. I'll draw somebody else.
Like literally, we got called, and so I forget I mean, I got called to like 8 different tables that night. Nico got
Yeah.
called to 3. And that's not even counting you. We won 3, and people are like, "Man, you're
Yeah.
lucky." And I was like, "Only it shows, man." Only, and that happens. That happened at Cali Custom Show. That happened at the Vegas USN. I mean, it just happens. Like Nico and I just happen to be lucky at shows. That's it. But who is your current favorite designer?
Man, I'm still going to have to go with old man. I really am. Because, shit, he's got 3 or 4 knives that I would love to fucking own.
Well, no, I mean current
seriously.
designers of the new guys. Like I know that, like, but the newer guys, like, because there's some guys out there, these younger guys that are coming up with some really cool, and not necessarily younger, but newer to the knife community, that are just really coming up with some good designs.
I just think about it for a second. Well, I tell you what, Grant Hawks.
Grant and Gavin Hawk are making some cool shit.
Man, he's always going to be in that group.
Yeah.
His dad and him have always been able to come up with some fucking cool shit.
Yeah.
That's really the only one on the top of my head that I can say, yeah, you know, he comes up with some cool shit.
I can't believe we only have 17 people here. There's only like 17 to 19 people here. That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Maybe I'm not very popular. Oh, I knew that.
Oh, wait. Neither one of us are. I have to say, like, I like, you know, Elliot Williamson, but like, if I was going to have to say, like, for art knives and stuff, Will and Eric Touch, like that stuff that I've seen from them, always beautiful. Those are like knives that I really wish I could own, and I just know I'm never gonna have the money for that.
They're too new for me. I'm not down in any of the thing that they make. They're too new for me.
Yeah.
I would like some of the Mike's stuff. Michael Walker, sorry.
Yeah.
I would like, and I have actually worked with this guy one time. Me and him did a knife one time, but I would like some stuff from Lake.
Who?
Lake. Seriously.
I can't really hear you.
Lake.
Oh, Lake.
Lake.
As in a big body of water. I got you now.
Yeah. I would like one of his inner frames in the early days. I would still like to have an original Loveless.
Yeah.
Just because I knew Bob, and Bob was such a fucking cocksucker. If you ever dealt with Bob,
I've heard. You know who else told me that? Was Bob Terzuola. Bob Terzuola was like, he did, like, Bob doesn't curse, but Bob basically laid it out, and he goes, "Yeah, he wasn't a real nice guy."
No, he was not. Well, let me tell you a story that your listeners like. Okay, so I take over a knife or two to Bob. John had told me to take him over there, and he said, "I tell you what, go over take him to Bob." And John has known Bob for a little while. John says, "Take this over to Bob, and Bob will sign your paperwork." I was like, "Okay." Show Bob your knives. Tell him who you are. And have a talk with Bob, and Bob will sign your paperwork for the guild. Okay. Bob started the fucking guild. I mean, he's one of the originals.
I was gonna say he's one of the founding members of the Knife Makers Guild.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'll go over and talk to Bob. I'm like 17 years old. I'm intimidated as all fuck talking to this guy. But half the people I'm talking to are fucking what you said. fucking knife royalty, but I have no fucking clue who fucking Bob Lovelace is. I'm 17. I have no clue. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, how you doing? My name's Aaron. And then John sent me over here. And he's like, oh, John. And he's like, oh, what's John? Hey, Bob drank like me and you. Okay. Well, what's John? John over there. Yeah, John over there. Yeah, okay. Now I know John. Okay. So we get the dog. Bob picks up a knife off his table. I don't care what it is. He picks up a knife. It's a finished knife. There's a knife. See this knife? Yeah. Bob said, you know how much this knife's worth? No, sir. I have no idea how to answer this question. Bob said, this knife's worth $250. Okay. $250 knife. He goes, Bob looks right, he looks right at me and he goes, these some bitches will pay $2,500 for it. He goes, so it's a $2,500 knife. He says, these people are fucking stupid. Okay. All right. He goes, so what do you want from me? I was like, sir, I'd like you to take a look at my knives. He goes, Johnson, you over here? Yeah. He goes, give me your paperwork. I don't give a fuck. That's his name. I don't even know if he fucking looked down at my fucking knives. But Bob Lovelace signed my fucking guilt papers. There it is. He goes, look around at me and like, hey, I don't give a fuck how much anybody wants to pay for it. This is what I'm going to charge. Fuck you. $2,500. Like, damn. This whole fucking business is fucked up. I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this. I'm fucking 17. What am I supposed to do with this shit?
Guess what? It hasn't changed any because I've seen guys buy knives that I mean, if you guys like stuff like that, like I've seen some, and I'm not going to name any makers or anything, but I have seen guys buy knives that are just truly fucking hideous. I've seen Nico do it. Knives that are just hideous and spend literally thousands of dollars on a knife.
How hard
and I'm like,
how hard it is for me not to throw enough fucking names out.
I know, but I don't want to do that because then I get hate. But I'm like, I've seen knives, and people are like, "What do you think?" And then because a lot of times it's people that I like if it's people I like, I try to. This is a fucked up thing too. If it's people that I'm just acquaintances with and I like, I want to I don't want to shit all over stuff that they bought. Now, if it's one of my friends, like Nico or Matt,
I'll shit all over them.
Like they'll hand me a knife. What do you think about this? And I'm like, I hope you didn't pay more than like fucking $80 for it. Like it's off center and it sounds like the bearings aren't concentric. And why is that grind all fucked up? And how come that choil's all, how come the fucking plunge is jacked? And like, how come I can't get to the lock? And then like, so it gets to a point where some of my friends are like, I'm not showing you a knife until I've had it for like a couple months. That way the honeymoon period's over. They start seeing some of these.
Yeah, that way I don't feel so fucking bad.
Well, because I'm famous for just ruining the honeymoon period for people with a knife. Like people like oh man, I got a brand new knife, and people like all of my friends are like, don't show it to him. Don't show it to me. I hate that.
Don't do it.
Because I'll look at it and I'm like, well, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong.
I have a mixer in my brain that everybody loves right now. That I'm just going, don't say his name. Don't say his name. Because I hate the motherfucker. So I'm just going to sit here.
You should go ahead, just say it then. Because I was going to ask you who your favorite and least favorite designers are, because we already talked about your favorites. So it's may as well. I mean, we're an hour and 39 minutes in. I don't think anybody's really listening.
RMS.
Huh?
RMS. What's that stand for?
Why? I don't know. I've been drinking. Go ahead and say it. Because if you're waiting on me, it ain't going to work. You tried to get late.
He makes all kinds of flippers. Somebody on the page.
Oh.
Somebody throw it out there, baby.
Somebody put it in a text. I can't.
Somebody put it out there. Let's see if you missed.
I've had a lot of concussions too. Like I want you to think about the fact I got hit.
I've had a whole lot of alcohol.
I used to go to a fight gym and get hit in the face as a hobby. So RMS. Why is that?
Mm.
Well, I know it ain't Jim Skelton because that don't start with an R.
No, Jim, me good. Jim makes
Text
a
it.
good night.
Text it to me. I love, dude. I had Jim
Jim
on here.
Jim makes a great fixed blade. He really does.
He does. He does.
Jim makes
I
a
got
great-
one of his production ones in. He did a run of production ones. Come on, guys, help me with the RMS thing. I'm trying to think of it.
I'm maybe fucked up. I don't know. Who's one of your big flipper makers that everybody will fucking flip when you get one? How about that?
I'm not putting 2 and 2 together, and it doesn't surprise me. Text it to me. You got your phone.
Give me a second.
And I will go, oh yeah, you can say that out loud because if it's somebody I don't like. But no, there's designers out there that I don't care for their stuff. Like I mean, but then again, there's some guys that like they make stuff that I'm like, I can't find a purpose or a use for that, but I can definitely appreciate what went into it. I was going to talk to you about front flippers. Did you text it to me? Top and front flippers?
Top flippers or front flippers?
Both, because you like the whole top flipper thing. Like you were one of the first guys that did it.
The whole top flipper thing, baby. I'm it. Whether they talk about that shit or not. What the fuck? I heard it. I heard it
too.
The whole top flipper shit that everybody's doing right now. Look, I did that in '99.
I was gonna say, like we talked about that. You're like, why? Like everybody thought it was. And people were talking. Like, why are you doing this? This is stupid. And now everybody fucking loves them.
I have the fucking patent. I mean, like literally, I have the fucking patent. That shit's mine. This top flipper shit off the top, fuck, that's mine. I've been doing it for years. So when everybody starts to me, hey, why are you copying that? Like, no, motherfucker. That's mine. That's mine.
I did that shit.
I've been doing it forever. Columbia River did 2 of my hours with top flippers.
Yeah, I was going to say that was back in the day.
They did the Convergence and they did the fucking Bull. Those are mine. And anybody that says any different, they fucking wrong.
Fucking wrong.
I've been around.
He's still trying to figure out how to text. He's like, I can't see to text. I've been drinking. Because you guys didn't see was when we brought this on, because we can talk.
Yeah, we can hide all kinds of shit. We were
talking, and like I see what he's got, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you got a whole handle of Tito's vodka. Like we can talk about it, we just can't show it. Like I'm drinking Miller Lite because I don't feel like waking up tomorrow and feel like death. Walt Gilbert's like, I feel like I'm tending bar again.
I do this every fucking day. What the fuck? I ain't gonna feel like death.
I always tell the guys like, yeah, you know, I don't drink in my videos as often anymore. I don't want you guys to think I drink every day. I mean, I'm not saying I don't. I just don't want you to think that. Did you send that?
I'm trying, motherfucker.
It's like, I can't work the phone. There's no physical buttons. Bro, this is the best Larry the Cable Guy special ever. Murky Ocean here got one of my, remember those little neck knives that I had? The little Kiradashi neck knives?
I remember you ripping off people with some. Oh, I said that out loud, didn't I?
I didn't rip nobody off. People bought them.
No, they paid for them. They paid for them full price, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. They paid for them, they got them, and they were happy with them.
Oh, dumb bastards. See, that's my problem with the knife business. People are fucking stupid.
Have you seen that Rockstead necker that they've come out? It is. I love Rockstead knives, but I'm telling you,
okay,
it's horrible.
Stop. Who It's Rockstead knives.
Rockstead knives. That's that Japanese company, and they do the super ultra hard ZDP 189 folders. And they are beautiful. They have several models, but they've done a neck knife, and it's hideous. It really is horrible.
I'm almost certain that my grandfather would be disapproving. I'm probably not allowed to say that. Sorry.
We thought my grandfather was going to be disapproving because I married a Japanese chick, and I came home and like he loved my wife. That dude loved my wife. So,
hold on, I'm fucking trying. Gee.
While you're doing that, while you're having such an incredibly hard time doing this, what's your favorite knife to make? What style? Do you like drop point, Kiridashi?
Persian.
Huh?
Persian.
Persian?
I'd rather make a Persian knife than anything else.
Really?
I don't care if it's in a fixed blade. I don't care if it's a folder. Everything should S. I love a Persian no matter what. I think everything should S. I love an S no matter what. I would rather grind a Persian. I would rather draw a Persian. Everything should make a nice, smooth arc and S.
Okay.
Some of the first folders that I wanted to make were kind of a Persian deal. John said, "You can't grind that. You're not good enough to grind it."
And my first knife I ever made was a fucking big ass recurve that looked like a goddamn baby bat lift from Star Wars. And Elliot's like, I don't think you can do it. I don't know if that's a good idea. And I got done. He was like, well, I'll be goddamn if you didn't fucking do it. I was like, I just wanted to make a knife.
The first couple of knives I did, John threw away.
Really?
I mean, he did. No shit, he threw them away.
The second knife I showed you the second knife I made. That was that one I made for my daughter. John
threw maybe five, 6 knives. I got halfway through them, and John just threw them away. No,
hang on a second. I'll get that one and show you. Hang on just a second. You guys will
you guys can suck a dick. Oh, you cunt mouth motherfucker.
That's not what we say to my followers. But yeah, second knife I ever made was a.
So you can't see him, so you can see me. I'm gonna scroll through my phone. You watch me scroll through my phone. You're watching me scroll through my phone. Oh shit! There's my knives. Yeah, well, whatever.
Hey, Murky Ocean asks if you're going to sell those strops online.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the second knife I ever made.
So I have to ask, how much dick did you suck before you got to that level?
None.
Yeah, you're a liar. No,
how much are the strops? The guys here, Freak Show asked how much are the strops?
The ones that are actually like cutting boards like this. Well, shit. See, this fucking camera thing is fucking with me. Like this, they're $50.
So Cue Ball side, Aaron has been the most entertaining guest that Mike's had, hands down. Well, I'm just here. The only reason we're still going is I just want to see if he's going to fall out of that damn chair.
Nope. I've been in this chair. I've been in this chair like this longer than you've been fucking doing knives. I'll be fucking fine.
Like I was just say, just the longer it goes, the more you see him doing that.
I figured the fucking name out.
Okay. Go ahead, just tell it. Just say it. Fuck it. Like we're an hour. Huh?
Hour. Hate the motherfucker.
Oh, I know who you said.
Hate the motherfucker.
You said RMS.
I fucked up. I'm drunk. Fuck you.
I know exactly who you're talking about, and I'm not gonna say it out loud because there's so many people who love that dude. It's RJM is what it is, not RMS.
Fucking hate the motherfucker.
I never got to meet him. Never got to meet him.
Motherfucker decided he wanted to fucking stand next to me when I was at the fucking USN one day. I'm like, we gonna have a fucking problem? No. Yeah, we are. You're gonna have a problem with me because I will beat your ass within an inch of your fucking life. You better find a fucking another table.
What?
He went up to the fucking makers, and they were like, hey, I got a problem. It's like, yeah, you don't want to have a problem with him. We'll find you another place because I will beat him within a fucking inch of his life because he is a fucking cocksucker. And I don't give a fuck if he likes me or not. Fucking RJ Martin is a fucking cocksucker. All he does is turn a fucking CNC machine on and make his fucking knives. He ain't made a fucking custom knife in fucking 15 years. He ain't never done nothing. Fuck him. Fuck his mom. Fuck his dog. Fuck his driver. Fuck that guy.
I'm hang on. I'm going to have to say that I have a sneaking suspicion that Aaron doesn't like Mr. Martin.
Fuck him. If you want to have a problem with me, he can come fucking talk to me. I will beat his ass within an inch of his life.
Well, all he has to do is he's like
somebody.
Somebody
used to do this for a fucking living, and somebody used to sit and suck dick for a living, like he did. Oh, well, let's figure out who used to do this for a living and who didn't.
Okay,
he has a problem. I'll beat his ass.
I usually try to keep this to about 2 hours. So I need we got to have.
Well, you brought it up, and it pissed me off.
I just did not realize how upset you were going to get about it.
Oh, fuck that guy! I have told more than one person, fuck that guy. He decided he had an issue with me one time. Fuck that guy. Fuck him.
I can't imagine somebody having a problem with you.
Yeah. He can have a problem with me all he wants.
See, guys, I told you that basically Aaron and I are the same fucking person.
I will beat his ass until his wife don't know who he is. Fuck him. Fuck his mom. Fuck his car. Fuck his dog. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, so
now wait a minute. We've got fucking 7 minutes. We got 7 minutes.
Story time. That's what I wanted to ask you. We can't talk about how much you hate RJ.
We can answer anything we want for 7 minutes. Knife time. Who wants knife time?
No. I usually end with story time. So what I wanted to ask you.
No, we got to answer knives. Okay,
all right. Knives. So we'll do a Q&A. So you guys throw up. We'll ask questions about knives.
Yeah, see.
But
throw them up.
Tim wants to know where he can buy one of your knives.
Probably the best place to try to look is either Monkey Edge or Grand Prairie Knives. That's who's probably got them. That's been my most consistent dealers through this whole bullshit COVID shit. Those two. So Monkey Edge, if you don't see something on Monkey Edge, call Monkey Edge, and Brady will try to do his best for you. Okay?
Did you spill your drink?
No, I threw a cup out of the way. It was fucking in my way.
Because he's still angry. We managed to really made Aaron. So I have to ask you. I got to ask you. Like, So I had Levon and Jake both on the podcast. And
Really?
Jake, yeah.
And they didn't fucking call me those motherfuckers.
No, I did it separate. No. I can't. Okay, so here's the deal. Like, I couldn't handle having all three of those guys.
Fuck them both.
So at any rate, so I told him you were coming on. So at any rate, I talked with Jake and I was like, I got to hear the story about the knife show where Aaron, and they had the picture where you came in and you jumped up on the bed with him and you were like in your underwear and shit. And I was like, but okay, so Jake's story was that like you showed up and like from the time you got to the lobby, from the lobby to their room, you were shit faced. And they were like, it's like 4:00 in the morning. Like he just shows up at 4:00 in the morning. And I'm like, I would hazard to guess that I imagine Aaron found someplace that sold alcohol and sat in the lobby and got shit faced and didn't get shit faced in like the 10 minutes it took to find their room.
I have no fucking idea. No fucking idea what they're talking about.
So Jake was like, yeah, it was the New York Custom Show, and you had to drive through that blizzard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they were like,
what we're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
If that's what they're talking about. Just a second. So that show, I drove 23 fucking straight hours because the roads were so bad. Okay. So I'm getting them all into the show because I'm actually part of that show.
Yeah.
The New York. That's Steve Delac. Steve Delac treats me like a son. Okay. So I have a free table. I do the security for part of that show. Okay. So when at about 3 a.m., I have to go do part of the security for that show. You understand that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I get there at about 4 a.m. the day before the show because I drive for 23 fucking straight hours.
Through a blizzard.
Okay, because there's this fucking blizzard. When I roll into the show, I roll into the room. They're all asleep and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Give me a beer." Because it's going to be a long motherfucking day. So I drink 2 beers. I lay down on the floor. I sleep for 2 hours. I raise up, like, "Give me a beer." And I go to the show. And they're like, "What are you going to do?" It's like, "I'm going to go sell a bunch of fucking knives. And as soon as I get done with those knives, I'm going to fall on the fucking floor." That's what I'm going to do. I sell out on Saturday or on Friday. And they're like, "Hey, man, what are you going to do?" It's like, "I'll be back in about 3 hours. But I'll be drunk as fuck when I get back. So we'll have a great time." And so, go ahead, ringer, motherfucker. So, I sell all my knives. I go to the room and I sleep about 3 hours. And I come back and they're like, "Hey, man, you all right?" And I'm like, "Everybody here, give me a beer." And so, everybody there starts fucking just handing me beers. And I'm like, "I'll be all right in a minute." And then after fucking 20 minutes, I'm like, "Hey, let's go. Let's go." And so I'm good. Puke and rally. Oh my gosh. That was such a pull. Oh my God. I got stuck in 3 fucking car wrecks on the way there.
I remember you telling me about. We talked about that.
It's only a 10-hour drive, and it took me 23.
Yeah,
if anybody can understand that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Okay. So
next knife question.
Somebody asked if you could make something like a ZT-0609
I don't know what that is.
See, that's everybody's like, oh, have you seen this knife? And I'm like, motherfucker, like they don't understand it. Like by the time I get done shooting videos and shit, I don't go and research shit. I don't look up other knives.
I have no idea. And another, it's insulting. It's insulting for me to make a knife maker's knife that I know. Okay.
Well, and
especially if I know them. Especially if I know
sometimes you can accidentally stumble across Murky Ocean. Okay, it's a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke because it's an RJ Martin knife.
That's fine. That's okay. But just like the copper knife that you showed me earlier, flip it up. Flip it up. That looks just like somebody else I know.
At this point, people stumble across. I made a fixed blade knife. I designed a fixed blade knife, and Elliot and I were looking at it and didn't realize it until later. It looks just almost identical to one of his folding knives. And he goes, "Well, it shows that you paid attention to the shit I taught you."
That looks just like somebody's knife that I know.
Yeah, okay? And at this point, it's so hard not to have knives that look.
The only thing you can do is come up with a new mechanism. And the problem is, especially coming up from where I came up, where the liner lock from Michael Walker was new, most of these mechanisms are old. We can't come up with a new mechanism. We can come up with a new way to make the mechanism.
Yeah, well, you can come up with little variations. Like Andrew Demko came up with some variations on the lockback knife, and that Scorpion is that strap lock, the back strap lock. There's no new mechanisms out there. There's just little tweaks and polishes. Whoever comes up with a whole new locking mechanism is going to be a fucking millionaire.
And Grant Hawk is a good example. Like I told you,
yeah,
they come up with some crazy stuff, and their stuff is totally different. No one can even compare to what they do because they come up with some crazy things.
But the flip side of it is totally different, so intricate. Like I've seen some of those Hawk locks, and the fact is, they're awesome. But the fact is, like they're so intricate that like to do them like financially, most companies are going to shy away from it. They're like, hey, look, it's like we can't afford to make that the way you want it.
I ran into that with my Columbia River knife, the Convergence, the very first knife that I did with Columbia River. It wound up being too cost effective. It wound up being too much. Yeah. Because they had so much stuff going into it that they couldn't afford to sell it on what it really took to make it.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at like what's it cost them, and that's like everybody's flipping out, and I'll just go ahead and throw it out. Everybody flips out about people like Tony Marfione is now having knives made offshore because he can't keep up with demand for certain knives, and so he can't get it made stateside. Like to get it made stateside, so you have to look at that cost value proposition. Like, what's it cost to make? What's it cost to sell? What's my fucking like?
And whether his cheap wives can, make part of it. I don't know.
I like Tony. Tony's a good dude.
Oh, he's a good dude, but
Tony's a good dude. He just makes very poor personal decisions, in my opinion. Like I'm not gonna go any further with it, but like his personal life, those decisions happen to be a little bit off the rails, just a little.
I'm just gonna sit here.
Yeah,
I've been here a long time.
But like you see companies that like guys are like, oh, don't buy this and don't buy stuff that's made offshore. But companies here in the States, they don't want to produce stuff at a price that people can afford. I mean, shit, if they could, to case in point, I had a design. I was looking at OEM. I wanted to do stateside. the guy that was going to back the project and was going to sell it, and we're still working on it. I was like, we can get it US made, and it's going to be like $64 a knife. And I was like, but that doesn't include packaging. That doesn't include the sheath. That doesn't include the wrap. And he was like, and I was like, so you're looking at like $120 per unit. And he was like, well, that's what I wanted to sell them at. And I was like, I know. And he goes, well, what's it cost? And we looked at it offshore from 2 different places. And the places that we looked at was coming in pretty much standard. You're looking at like $20 per knife. That's a finished knife with the sheath, with the wrap,
well,
with the packaging, with glazed edge. That's it.
When I first started into the world of having things produced, Ed Halligan, which half your fucking customer base isn't going to know, but Ed Halligan is the person who designed the Columbia River knife and tool Kiss knife.
Yeah,
okay? The Kiss.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when they first started producing those, he made 25 cents per blade. Okay, that's it. That's all he made. But they made so many of them. I was
going to say, they're everywhere.
They made so many of them that Ed told me one time, and he goes, yeah, a sack full of quarters adds up a lot faster than you think it does.
Yeah.
And so Ed made $250,000
in quarters.
1 year. In 1 year on quarters. And so, I'm sorry, that's shit in my shop.
Oh, it's a compressor. I was like, what is that?
It's one of my compressors kicking in. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
So they told me to try to make the cheapest knife that I could. And the problem is my knife was so expensive because it had so many patents on it. It had a Long Lake patent on it. It had one of my patents on it, that they couldn't produce that knife and sell it retail for less than $75.
Yeah.
And I knew as soon as they told me that that was the fact, that I was never going to make any money on that.
Yeah.
And Kit Carson told me that. He goes like, you're never going to do any good on that knife. I'm like, shit. Why? And because it took so much to produce that knife. I'm like, well, shit. Okay. So that's the reason the bull came about after.
Yeah. Well,
and that one didn't have the release. It didn't have the slide lock and all that kind of stuff. And that's the reason, but because I couldn't produce it,
yeah,
and they couldn't do it.
It cost so much to produce it that they couldn't sell. Yeah. So you remember the big fixed blade that I made, the big one that was the combat knife and all that.
Right.
And We Knife Company released it, and they did an amazing job on it. But at the price point it wound up going out at, they still haven't sold all of them. Like, they paid me up front,
right.
But they still haven't sold them. That little Warrenclyffe one that I make, that I've showed you before, Artisan has sold literally thousands of those. Like, We Knife Company did a run of 400 of my big combat knife, and they did an amazing job on it. Artisan has made literally thousands of that little Warrenclyffe fixed blade of mine. Literally sold thousands. I just got my royalty again. And I look at what got sold, and I'm like, that's a lot. That's literally thousands of knives have been sold. Because I get my sales report, like what got sold. And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I used to get those too. I used to back in the day. And
sales have definitely tapered off.
That's back in the day, because I just kind of stepped out of that whole world.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. I just kind of stepped out of it. I got such a sour taste in it.
Yeah.
And
we
talked about it. And
you kind of got boned on the deal, but
Well, I did, because I was active duty, and they boned me, and there's nothing I could do about it. I was fighting a war at the time, so.
So you said Monkey Edge is about the best place?
Monkey Edge or Grand Prairie Knives or Knife Center.
I would say I've seen some of your stuff on Knife Center, but I've also seen some of
Knife Center.
I've seen some of your nicer, like your really your fancier stuff on Arizona Custom Knives.
They usually wind up with some stuff. They really do. I don't really know how they wind up with it, but they do. They have a lot of stuff of mine, and I don't know the arc of where they get them, but they do.
Okay, so here's the deal. I'm going to end this, but if you see down here, what we have is an after show that I do, and I don't try to monetize it. And I usually the next morning make that members. I have paying members, so I am going to do an after show. But I'm definitely trying to. I'll tell you guys about it in the after show. But so I end it here. I'm gonna go ahead and drop you. I'll send you.
I'll just tell everybody I'm really drunk.
Oh yeah, we know. You didn't have to tell us.
I don't know how you tell.
You dropped a few hints along the way, but I have to send you another link, so you're going to have to check your email. We'll have to go back through and do the whole thing over again.
I do?
Yeah, because it's a completely different thing. So I'm going to kick you out. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. Everybody say bye to Aaron. Aaron, it has been a blast.
Hey, fair winds. And
fair winds. Follow these fuckers.
Yeah, only you get it. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna kick Aaron out, and we're gonna do the final wrap up on this.
Hoorah.
We are gonna do an after show, so you guys want to stick around for the after show. Please don't get upset. The after show, when I wake up tomorrow morning, whatever time it is, I make that exclusive content for the paying members because, well, hell, there's 54 people that pay me for content, so I think they earned a little bit of something. I don't give them much.
Hoorah.
So, guys, we are going to do after show. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, which I'm still not 100% sure if I'm putting it on Apple Podcasts or not. I don't know how Apple's going to feel about it, but we may. So if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, there is a video link in the description of this podcast where you can come and you can see the whole video, because I'm telling you right now, there's stuff that Aaron showed that you're going to want to see, and stuff that I showed that just does not translate to audio. So I'm going to end this. Give me about 5 minutes to go relieve myself, and we'll start the after show. I have some information I wanted to give you guys. So I will see you guys in about 5 minutes. Take it easy.